On this episode of the Tuff Juice Podcast, I had none other than Jamal Crawford, former teammate of mine. And look, a guy that pretty much won the Sixth Man of the Year multiple times, should get the award renamed after him. And, in my eyes, that's, he's just been great all the way around. When you talk about a community leader, someone who was a student, eventually became a teacher and mentoring so many others out in that Seattle area, but also just in life. He's one of the guys that I say who is a real one. And we also talked about, participating in the bubble. If you got that phone call, what are some of the things that he's doing right now to stay ready for that opportunity? Vince Carter got, retired, pivoted away from the game of basketball. And how would he want his, happy ever after to end, with the NBA? And we also talked about his impact just, in his second act and some of the things that he want to do and some of the initiatives he want to attack. So tune in to the Tuff Juice Podcast on the Himalaya app, wherever you listen to your pods. My first thing for you is just on the heavier is just like, how have you been dealing with everything that's happening around us, the optics of the world and the state where we're at right now?
Yeah, it came at us in waves, right? So at first it was the pandemic, and we have younger kids. And if you hear them, I apologize in advance because they're at home with all this energy now. But so that wave was like getting dialed in with remote schooling and everything like that. And my wife kind of really dialed that in. The first week we kind of like, whoa, this is shocking, but we kind of got a routine. And then after that, obviously, dealing with everything we're going with in the country. It's just amazing. It broke my heart to see like a modern day lynching. That's what we watched. We watched a modern day lynching. And to see it resonate the way it has all over the world was encouraging and inspiring. Because, we've seen protests before, and they kind of went that day, and we kind of protested and wanted to be heard. But I've never seen this kind of energy. So instead of kind of a moment, it feels like a movement. This feels like something that's sustainable, and it feels like something that we're not going to let go. And, it just broke my heart to watch Mr. Floyd beg for his life. You know what I mean? Like, just literally beg for his life, and to see the officer, the look he had on his face. Because he number one, he knew who George Floyd was because they had worked together previously. Number two, he had to know he was killing him. And number three, he smiled about it the whole time, so casually just killed him. And I think, for us, we feel like in some ways the system has had its foot on our necks for a long time. So it just really resonated with us.
So, and I'm glad you said that, because people said, it's typical that, you have a tragedy and then we see the protests and then all of a sudden, it kind of phases out. But I said the same thing. I said, this is the first time in my lifetime I talked to my grandparents, and I know you're an old soul as well, and you do your due diligence, that I've seen 50 states march and protest. I've seen not only us, but like young people on the front line. And then this was the crazy thing that caught me. I saw white people. I saw white people engaged, bro. In like even 18 plus countries. I was like, yo, this is a different vibe.
It's totally different. And like you said, going back to the younger generation, this younger generation is fearless. Yeah. Remember when we were growing up, like in a different, like when we would fight, we'd box it out and that'd be that. This younger generation ain't going for that. Like this younger generation is going, all out. And it's a different energy. And as long as they use that spirit in the right direction, which we're doing now, it's encouraging. And then, like you said, to see our white brothers and sisters marching with us. And I think that's powerful. It's almost like if an NBA coach, right, let's say Nate McMillan or Doc Rivers, or, one of those coaches say something, then you hear Popovich say it. It's like, it kind of resonates differently from the standpoint, not that it means any more than what Doc said. It's just the fact that he's a white American. So he's like, man, I'm speaking from a privilege standpoint. Like, we got to get our stuff together. You know what I mean? And you hear it a little bit differently. So seeing it's more of instead of a black or white, it's almost an everybody versus racism or a human. It's a human thing. You know what I mean? Like just having human compassion for the next person, no matter what color they are. And so it was encouraging and important for them to stand with us.
So like when I know you was part of that team with the Clippers, that when the Sterling situation happened and all that, and you guys took a position where you almost, I think it's the blackout special is out now, right?
Yep, it sure is.
Yeah, so you guys took a stance where it was like, I think y'all even questioned playing. Like, you guys wasn't going to possibly play. But what would your position be with some of the young guys right now, like going to the bubble, one, which I think you should be on the roster, and then two, what would your position be in? Would you play, would you participate, or would you stay and be socially active, in the physical?
So going back to the first part of it, the Sterling situation, not only were we not going to play Golden State, because Jermaine O'Neal was like their, vet leader at the time, he had them on board where they weren't going to play if we weren't. So we were kind of dealing with, that situation right there. There was no playbook for it. We were going to attack it, and they were on board with us. So if we said we weren't playing, there wouldn't have been a playoff. Like, wow. It was over. Yeah, it was over with. So, we all got together. And the one thing, one of the things Doc did, I got to give him credit for it, was he was like, you know what? As long as you guys are all on the same page, I don't care what we do. I'm going to support you regardless, right? So once we all, that room was raw. There was so many emotions, so many people saying, like, we can't do this. And there's some people saying, no, we weren't playing for him anyway. You know what I mean? So we kind of went through that whole thing and worked through that. And then at the end of it, we said, Doc's going to be our boy too. Obviously, we're in the, it is Tuff Juice to be in the playoff setting. You got to be locked all the way in. So we said, we're going to lock in on that and let Doc kind of handle it. And he really protected us in that sense. And then fast forward, if I was going to the bubble, my thing would be, because I see, certain players saying they don't want to go and certain players saying they do want to go and still fight for what's right. I would not go if we all decide not to go. But my thing would be, what are we fighting for? What are we trying to get out of it? Like, are we saying we're not coming unless the NBA and its partners donate $1 billion to communities, all across the country, Black communities, African-American communities, inner city communities around the country? I have no problem not doing that, but just tell me what we're fighting for, because I just don't want to sit out just to sit out. Like, because a lot of guys make money, and as you know, we do a lot in our communities. Yeah. Obviously, that comes from the money we make to be able to have an impact on our communities. So I would wholeheartedly be with the majority, because I understand both sides. But if we're going to sit out, I just want to know what we're fighting for, right? And if we're fighting to empower, to get more Black GMs, to get more Black coaches, to get more Blacks in ownership, to change the system that way. So I just want to know what we're fighting for, and then I'd be all in either way.
Man, I totally agree, bro. I think we need more minority inclusion, and I think it's been the case for quite so long. When you look at the wealth gap and what we're struggling with, like, that's something that needs to be talked about foremost. When I think about some of the teams that's going to the bubble and that's going to participate, and I look at the rosters, and they're all like kind of depleted from a depth standpoint. Is it any particular team that you feel like, you know what, I would just love to be right there because I know I can help?
Yeah, I would say a team contending. You know what I mean? You have maybe 4 or 5 of those contending teams: the Lakers, the Clippers, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto, Miami. I would say one of those teams, the contending teams. But then you have sleepers as well. Portland can go there and get hot. You know what I mean? You have different teams. And in the situation I'm in, I can't be choosy. You know what I mean? I would just kind of have to listen to what was out there. But yeah, I would, I think the contending team at this point in my career, I think I would have more value on the playing side of it, or whatever side they see fit for me. But that side of it more so than a younger team. A younger team would be more so the vet wisdom and leadership, how to be a professional, how to kind of help set the foundation for a young player's career, going forward. And that's important as well. But for me, playing-wise, from a competitive standpoint, I would say one of those contending teams.
So it's crazy when guys always resort back to the analytics of the game. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time you stepped out on the basketball court, you had, 50 points?
51, yeah.
51, yeah. So that's one, is crazy to me that you wasn't on the roster to begin with. Mm-hmm. And two, when I look at Vince Carter and the pandemic hit and he had to, retire, and I felt like he didn't get the farewell that he deserved, even though a lot of people was able to just like tag it on social media and show appreciation for the game. For you, your send-off, what would a perfect send-off for you be?
You know what? I don't think I would be, because you know me, I'm kind of low-key anyway, so I don't think I would have done the farewell tour. Uh-huh. If it would have been my last game, I would have known. I still wouldn't have told nobody. But the next day I would, just type something up or drop something that way. After it was all over with, you know what I mean? Then they can kind of show their appreciation that way. But like you said, besides the 51-point game, Tuff Juice, I averaged 31 for the month of April, right? And that was my highest scoring month of my career. So me personally, I'm not thinking like, it's time to go. I'm showing like, no, I could still go. You know what I mean? Yeah. You averaging 31 off the bench for the month. And more importantly, we won half the games that month. And we didn't win a lot last year. So to me, that was like gratifying, So I thought, I was showing that, I handled the vet side. I got my first DNP this year, that past season. And after the game, I didn't sulk about it. I went and worked out. And I want to see young guys see me work out, even after a DNP. You know what I mean? Just to show, like, hey, it's not personal and things may always go in your favor, but you still work at your craft, And so, I didn't know it would be a send-off. And if it happens to go out that way, I mean, only Kobe, I guess, has scored more. And he planned on going out, right? But only Kobe has scored more in the last game. So I looked at it, I have moments where I'm like, man, why? Why is this happening? Then I have more moments where I'm like, man, I'm really enjoying my family and enjoying this time as well.
Man, even setting up this interview and my appreciation, we was communicating via text. And man, I know we connected to like heavily to a fault almost, because the same things that you value from a family standpoint is the same way I am. I'm like, oh, that's my daughter nap time, or this is my ride down skateboard time. So it's a process now.
Hey, and it's something because I promise both of us, we've never been high maintenance, and I don't want to even come across like, nah, I can't do it this time. It's really like I'm really on their schedule. You know what I mean? Like I'm really on their schedule. So whenever they're doing something, I got to be there with them. If they take a nap, I can do it. That's my window. You know what I mean? Everything's on their schedule, but it's fun that way. It's a win-win situation. It's a blessing. It's truly. My son caught his first fish. I tweeted about that the other day. And he had went out there 3 days before. The first day, one kind of swam around him. The second day, a couple of them kind of came up to it. The third day, he caught it. And he plays basketball. Now, you would have thought he hit a game-winning shot, and I was there for that moment. You know what I mean? Those are little things like that are wins, and I don't take for granted.
Man, you brought up, our brother, late great Kobe Bryant. So when you talk about, people that raise the bar in their second acts, and just attacking it and just accomplishing so much, right out the gate. When you think about your second act, what are some of the things you want to dive into in some of the spaces?
I would love to be around the game. I actually just invested. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Shoot 360. Yeah. And it's a training method, and it's a facility where it's a training method, but they incorporate tech. Obviously, the game is going towards analytics and things like that, but it's more so for you can be a beginner, you can be a pro. You're welcome to the facility. You're kind of going at your own pace so you don't feel out of place. There's somebody on screen talking to you, you're doing the drills, you're having fun. Obviously, kids right now love to play video games, right? But so you're doing a ball handling drill and you're passing on screen trying to hit a bug, or there's a bug on the line. But really, you're working on the accuracy of your passing, not even thinking about it. You're like, man, I'm having fun. So you're getting better while having fun, and it's just amazing. We actually just put one up in the Golden State Warriors practice facility as well, and we have some pretty good guys that I think they're going to come on board as well. I just talked to. I don't want to divulge too early. I don't want to jinx it, fingers crossed. But so it's like a way to be around the game. It's another tool of training. I train my son all the time, both of them. And we went there one time before I invested. And he was like, man, I would come here 2-3 times a day. Like, he didn't even understand just the fact that he was getting better. He was like, it's fun in me. It's a basketball haven for kids. So I'm in that space. I definitely want to be around the game, either on the GM side, front office side, or the commentating side. So no matter what it is, I'll be around the game, but I'll have more time as well to work on my foundation and do things I do in the community. So I'm really excited about whenever that chapter is here, or in the near future, about that as well.
Man, I'm telling you, bro, you've been doing some amazing things in the community. And first I want to ask you, like, who was, like, that guy for you, like, in the Seattle area?
Well, see, the guy who kind of showed me it was possible to make it, and then when you make it, you don't have to treat people a certain way, was Doug Christie. Okay. He was like an unbelievable pro, 16 years old. He gave me the confidence that I can make it, because I'm 16 years old and I got game, but I don't know if that's really going to work when it counts. You know what I mean? So I started working out with him. And it was funny. I didn't even ask Doug for his phone number. He would just tell me, I'll be at the gym at 7:30. I'll be out there at 7 p.m. waiting for him. Right. And I would sometimes I catch a bus. Sometimes I drive a car legally while I have the license or no plates on it. And they have a 3-day tag, 3-day trip slip where it already expired. I was going to get to him. He saw how serious I was about teaching me how to fish. I don't want the fish. Teach me. I don't want your fish. Teach me how I can get my own. And he showed me that. And I just saw how he carried himself. But I honestly believe, Tuff Juice, once you come into a lot of money or a lot of fame, you become a bigger version of what you already were. So if you were somebody who treated people bad, now you got more money and more of a stature, you're going to treat them, you're going to really flex on them. You're going to really treat them worse, right? But if you were somebody who was a giver and was nice and treat people with respect, now you got more to kind of help out with. So I think the latter approach, and I've always kind of been like that. I think it's just now for heightened because I'm on this platform.
Man, and that's definitely what you're doing, man. You mentor so many, even like your open runs. Like I watch some of the footage, like even to this day. Like, because I'm a hoop head and I like this.
Yeah, yes, you are.
I just want to watch basketball sometimes. So I go watch old footage. I see you, zigzagging and dancing on folks and, just your big brother approach to the game from Isaiah Thomas, Markelle Fultz, all these brothers, like they look up to you in just an amazing way, man. Can you just talk about, like, how does that make you feel as, a big brother and mentor to so many?
It's amazing because I know what it did for me. When Doug Christie and Gary Payton did it for me, it changed my whole life, and in turn, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for everybody that comes underneath me, from Brandon Roy to Nate Robinson, to Terrence Williams, to Isaiah Thomas, to Will Conroy, to A.B. Bradley, to Stuckey, to all these guys. It's just amazing, exactly, to watch them grow, right? And then to see them reach back and do it for the next generation. And that's how you keep it going. I heard DeJounte Murray, he kind of said I changed his life. He did an interview the other day. And hearing that, because I know what he went through personally, like really being on the front line, street stuff, really having to navigate through that to, say, okay, we have friends over here saying, man, we can get this fast money. And him saying, no, I can't get this money now, but if I stay on this way, maybe I'll have an opportunity to help my family another way. And that takes a lot of strength and courage as well as a 15-year-old kid. You know what I mean? You had that, all the stuff you've been through. And I see what you're doing, and I see you going to the prisons and hearing them rap, and man, that gives hope. That's inspiration. I used to think making it to the NBA was the coolest thing in the world. And then when I got here, I said, you know what? Helping that person behind me, the younger generation, reach their goals and come close to it is absolutely the best thing about being in the NBA.
So, bro, I love to share this platform when real ones come on, because that's all we do.
That's all we do.
Authentic brothers, man, and you definitely that sharp. So when you think about the culture of basketball in Seattle, what makes the culture in Seattle, so unique? Like when you think of New York, when you think of Chicago, like even the DMV, I saw KD did that special out there, and that was crazy. Like, what's in the water in Seattle that make you guys so unique?
You know what's crazy, Tuff Juice, is that when I was coming up, you got more scholarships going to college than football. So in basketball, if you had a team like North Carolina or Michigan or Duke or UConn recruiting you, that was like going to the NBA. Like the culture just changed the last 20 years. So we saw the James Edwards, the Clint Richardson, the Doug Christies, but they were way before our time. Doug was still going, and then Jason Terry went. So we're like, hold on, we know that brother. Like, we know him. We can reach out and touch him. So then when he went, then I came the next year. So then after I went, now the AAU scene kind of jumped out there and it really just busted the door open. Now you got Brandon Roy, Isaiah Thomas, Nate Robinson, DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine, Spencer Hall, Martell Webster, all these dudes coming through. And now,
hey, I forgot that.
And now the kids are like, oh, we play with these dudes in the summer and we got some success against them. We can make it too. So now that's how the culture builds. And all those guys I said, if Nate Robinson's having a bowling tournament or Aaron Brooks is having a bowling tournament, he knows all 15 of us in the league are going to go there and support him. If I'm having a pro-am, I know all of them are going to play. If Isaiah Thomas is having a Zeke weekend where it's a kind of open gym run, we're all going to be there. And so that's the culture. And we all know all the kids in our community from 5th grade on can get a hold of any one of us like that. And that's special, right? So you can do that and get a hold of us and lean on us for different things and advice. I mean, that's what kind of builds the culture.
Man, when you talk about leaning on individuals for that advice, one thing that immediately sticks out to me about you is, one, your longevity and how you're able to still, like, your game haven't changed. Like, obviously you got sharper and, you've redefined some things, but you still can play the same game that you played when you came in. How did you manage to continue to do that?
Being in love with the game. Tuff Juice. I used to be a kid I was the kid in 5th grade, 6th grade. And I said, man, you know what? I didn't have money, but I said, I will pay the NBA to let me play in the NBA. Like, I don't take this for granted. You know what I mean? I remember sneaking up and sneaking in different NBA games and meeting certain guys. Some were nice, some weren't. And I said, if I'm ever in that position, I'm never going to turn a kid down for an autograph. Because, you know, as pros, we're doing it here, we're there. And it's just that one moment. For that kid, it lasts a lifetime. Like, I still remember to this day, a guy, I'm not going to say his name, who turned me down for autograph and made me feel that big. And I was like, man, if I'm ever in that position, I'll never do that. So I just don't take any of it for granted. I've been in love with the game. I can tell you about every player. I've been watching you so long. I can tell you about every player and everybody who has come through, and I'm a student of the game. And so I just don't take it for granted. So I stay in love with the game. When I say that, to say this, I foam roll, I cold tub, I lift, I'm doing my abs, I'm eating right. I'm doing this every single day, not just in season, in the summer as well. So for me, it's no change. When I go back to playing, it's like, oh, I play just like I did in the pro am. There's not a move I've ever done in pro am I haven't done in the NBA, because I've already mastered kind of my flow. I've already mastered. There's no shock to the body when I go back to playing 5-on-5. I've never stopped. So everything just stays sharp.
Yeah. And speaking of staying sharp, so The Last Dance just dropped, right?
Oh,
Michael Jordan, everybody's getting a behind the curtain peek at
how
he was.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that stuck out to me, and a lot of kids, and I want to get your evaluation on this, but a lot of kids don't realize that I never seen Michael Jordan like complain or make excuses. Like, even when he was in high school, his mom never said, you know, because he got cut, he felt this way. Now, fast forward to you, I remember at a point where you wasn't starting, but you became, in my eyes, and a lot of other people, the best sixth man ever to play the game of basketball. So, like, what's your thoughts on just how to pivot and make the best out of the next situation, or be a better version of yourself and go about that process?
The bumps in the road never stop, right? So no matter what street you go down, there's going to be a bump. Maybe a big bump, maybe a small bump. So going back to MJ, his mom said something that was so profound. And that was the underrated part of the doc to me, how he was raised, his respect, right? His mom still was calling his father Mr. Jordan, even in the doc. So one time when he got cut, his mom said, okay, we'll work harder. She didn't coddle him. She didn't say we're going to a different school. She didn't say, you know what I mean? She's like, okay, work harder, right? And remember, his dad said, if you want to tell Michael he can't do something, that's how you get him going. So he was wired like that from a young age, right? And seeing him, even Jerry Krause, because I he drafted me, and they had their odds. But Jerry Krause said, even with our odds, Michael never came to me and said, I need this player. Do this. He never said that. He said, okay, that's what you give me. I'll figure it out. And so, getting the chance to actually know MJ in Chicago and spend time around him, it was gratifying to watch that, because I'm like, this is the dude I know. This is that guy. You can see over my shoulder, there's a picture of me and him on the court. Like, this is the dude who I learned to, see behind the curtain. And then for me, that's what I'm most proud about in my career. I played for 19 different coaches. I played 19 seasons, right? So imagine you as a freshman, if you stay 4 years in high school, freshman year, you have a lot of success, right? That's your coach. He gets fired. Now you're a sophomore. This coach said, now, you know what? You got to come off the bench now. We need you as a sixth man. Then your junior year, another coach comes and say, you know what? We don't need you to score as much. You got to be kind of a leader for us. So your senior year, like, man, we can't think about these next moves. And you found a way to adjust every single year and still be you and still have an effect. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of. I just take it as a challenge. You say I can't do that? I'm going to go do that. I'm trying to master it. I'm trying to be the best at it. I had never come off the bench before in my life, right? Until I got to a point of being known as a good player on bad teams. So I said, you know what? I'm going to come off the bench then. No problem. I'll come off the bench. My first year I ever did it, sixth man of the year, averaged 18 points. I think we broke a record or close to a record for Hawks victory. So I was like, I'm going to do this now. And I had to trick my mind. So at first I was like, man, am I not as good, right? It went from that point to me saying, you know what? It's just Superman coming in to save the day. So I had to trick my mind mentally to embrace that and get outside of myself and not have an ego. Have competitiveness, so I'm going to still be effective, but not have an ego where I'm not willing to adjust. And I think that's part of longevity as well.
Man, you definitely always adjusted. And you touched on something, and I had to go back to it when you said being a student of the game. And I'll never forget, we in the planes, right? We chilling. And Grant Hill, one of my all-time favorite players.
One of the best players ever.
Yeah, bro. So, like, I remember like you pulling up footage, you bringing it up, you got the top, you like, man, look at this, look at these highlights. And like, bro, you was always watching film, and most importantly, like your energy was just always magnetic. You know what I mean? Like, you saw things on the court that other people didn't see.
And the fact that Grant Hill, like, I remember Grant Hill drink Sprite commercial, right? Like, Tupac had some Grant Hills on. The fact that Grant Hill knows me and your name from where we came from to, like, come on, man, this is a dream. Right? This is a dream. Right? The fact that I can sit next to Grant Hill on the plane and pick his brain and watch film with him. I was showing Grant stuff of himself that he hadn't seen in years. Like, man, you know what I mean? Like, so just like, it's a dream. I don't take it for granted. And I've always appreciated people who done it before, whether they did, just people who's been through where I want to go. And I've just always, picked their brains. And you can learn something from anybody. You really can. You can learn something from somebody on the street who doesn't have a place to live. Like, I talk to people like that all the time. Like, and I'll give them something just for helping my brain. Give me some game, right? So, like, I never stopped learning. The next year, I sat next to Paul Pierce all the time. I wanted to pick his brain. You know what I mean? So, like, I always kept somebody older next to me just so I can really learn it and still be a student of it. And not be like, oh, it's my time. Like, no, show me what I'm doing right. Show me what I'm doing wrong. And I can help the next person.
So even to this day, right, I want to go through your routine. So, like, right now, to keep yourself prepared, and if somebody call, he ready. Like,
right.
Do your day. Like, what you doing on the day?
So I'm going to give you the pandemic. Before then, I was actually able to still play 5-on-5. You know what I mean? Since then, with social distancing, I had to kind of rearrange. So I'll get up now. I'm talking about now. I'll get up 7 a.m. Before I even eat breakfast, I got a weight room in my house. I'm in the weight room. 7:30, I'm doing my whole routine. It takes about an hour and a half. I'm doing versa climber. I'm doing sled pushes. I'm running the hills. I'm doing abs. I'm doing stuff for my legs to strengthen my legs, make sure they're strong. We have a half court outside, which we turn into like everything. We brought a sport court in so I can really get the training in. So I'm doing all that stuff. By the time the kids get up, now they're in the summer, they get up at 9:30 before breakfast. I'm done. They don't even know I went in there and did that. My older son, he sneaks down with me, so he sees it. But I'm doing that early, and then after breakfast, I'll work my older son. He's in college, University of Maine, He plays there. He's here for the summer. And my younger son, who's 10, he's really good actually. And so I worked him out after that, and then spend time with my girls. We may go outside on the trampoline. We may go whatever they want to do. After that, get lunch for everybody. Maybe need to make a couple calls. I come back at it probably about 7 o'clock when things kind of slow down, wind down, get my shots up, do my game routine that I was doing. I play one on none to 100 by myself.
Oh,
so every time to 100, 2s and 3s. So I'm going game speed. Well, I mean game speed, right? I'm boom, pulling. If I make it, I get 3. If I miss it, the defense gets 3. First one to 100. But I'm not just doing stuff to like. So now I'm kind of. It was me and Nutso. It was just me and Nutso playing one-on-one. Until my older son came. Now I'm beating up on him. But yeah, so I just stay at it, man. Stay at it.
So I will have to say, bro, that is crazy. That true competitor that loves the game and that's a student of the game, and now a student become a teacher, and that's usually how it goes. So to all the grasshoppers out there, like, what will be your like wealth of knowledge or some of the biggest takeaways that you got from the game that you would love to share to the viewers and listeners?
I will talk to my 21-year-old, right? Staying in love with the game. I think that's so important now. I think people now, in some ways, kind of, and it happened a little bit in our generation, but I think I see a little bit more now. They love what comes with, making it, instead of loving the process, loving the journey of it, being a true student of your craft, right? So I think that's number one, staying in love with the game. Because if you're in love with it, you won't get sidetracked. You won't get distracted. It'll cut off the fat in a lot of ways. A lot of things you don't need to do at this moment or have time for and you shouldn't be doing. If you stay in love with the game, that'll kind of guide you in the right direction. Being a good listener. You know what I mean? You have to be a good listener. You have to be open to advice. I don't even want to say criticism. I want to say advice because I think it's something that can help a person. That is so important. Yeah, I think KG said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth so you can listen twice as much as you talk, right? So you can be a true student. Being a professional, even now, like if me and my son are working out at 12 o'clock, he knows he needs to be on the court at 11:30 because it becomes habit, right? When you go to practice, when you go to, wherever you're going, whatever level you're at, whether it be kids level, middle school, high school, college league, whatever time they say there, be early. Don't be, being on time is being late to me. Be there early. Just taking care of yourself, taking care of your body. Don't beat up your body. You only get one of them. And, if you want to do this for a long time, you got to take care of yourself. Always being in shape. There's so many different things and things I try to impart on the young guys, especially like last year in Phoenix, we were one of the youngest teams in the league. Just so many different lessons, that you kind of go with. And I always tell them, nobody likes a know-it-all. Somebody who knows all the answers to everything. You can't tell them that. Like, how can I help you if you got all the answers, right? So not being a know-it-all. Yes, sir, no, sir. Always treating people with respect and character. And I said this on Twitter for Father's Day because my dad taught me how to play basketball. And he played at Oregon with Kevin Love there. I said, I'm thankful you taught me to be a good basketball player. I'm more thankful you taught me about humility and character. And I think that trumps everything else. Like, don't treat somebody good because you think they can help you. Or you're trying, Like, don't treat somebody bad because you think they're below you. Like, no, one human life is just as important as the next. And people are people, and you treat everybody with respect and humility and have character.
And that's why you my grandma's favorite till this day. She always, he was with the Clippers. He came out, he took his time, took pictures, he signed. And even when I was trying to pull you away after the game, you still like, yo, CB, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
We know how that environment get, family, everybody wants to.
No, you're right.
You were so respectful.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest with you, like yourself, Gary Payton, so many people that have spoken on my behalf about me playing, I think personally it's not just the basketball you guys are saying I should be playing, because I think it's the character you guys see and know. And I think that's why you guys have no problem on the bat for me. And I thank you guys, because that speaks volume about how you feel about me, forgetting on the court, but more so off the court.
Bro, you're my brother for life, man. And, last two questions for me. I hate to put you on the spot, but I got to. Man. You brought up the 19 coaches, so here you got to run them off, man, if you can.
Oh, you want to hear them?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let me get focused first. All right, I'm ready. All right, we got Bill Cartwright. We got Bill Berry. We got Pete Myers. We have Scott Skiles. We have Tim Floyd, because he's before Bill Cartwright. That's 5, right?
Yep.
Okay, then I had Lenny Wilkins, Herb Williams, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Brown, Mike D'Antoni. That's 10?
Yep.
Okay, where we go after that? We went to Golden State, Don Nelson, 11. Yep. Atlanta, we had Mike Woodson and Larry Drew. That's 12, 13. Then we went to Portland. We had Nate McMillan and Caleb Canales. That's 15. Then we went to the Clippers. We had Vinny and Doc.
Yep, Tubo.
Okay, then we went to Minnesota. We had Thibodeau. And then we went to Phoenix and had Igor. 19.
Hey, boy, you got a memory on you.
Hey, that's clean living, man. You got to keep a fresh mind.
That's crazy. Hey, last one for me, man. Just ultimately, when you look at your legacy, and I think you touched on it already, but I just want to hear it in your words. What would you ultimately want to be remembered as? You know what?
It's so cliche because we hear it sometimes, but if I truly lived that, and if I was a good basketball player but a better person, and I know my style of play, funny story, when I was a kid, I used to ask people, I want to be in the NBA so bad, right? So I'm like, man, who do I play like? Who do I play like? And they're like, well, you got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but you don't really play like nobody. And as a younger player who loved the game and studied the game, that was devastating. I'm like, man, well, how am I going to make it to the highest level if I don't play like nobody there? Fast forward now, I still don't play like nobody. And I kind of carved out my own niche, and I'm thankful for it. And within that, if I inspired even one person out there who I may have never met to kind of like, man, I'm going to make it because this guy did it because the stuff he went through or his style of play, if I inspired even one person out there, then this journey was worth it.
Bro, and I definitely would tell you this, watching you, knowing you, you inspire more than one person, brother. You inspire millions. And not just from a basketball standpoint, I think that you touched on it profoundly well, that basketball was the carrot that drew people in. But most importantly, they saw you as a human being and what you do. Bro, you got a lifelong brother right here, man.
Hey, when you say something, that's like, That's like the gavel when the judge speaking. That's Tuff Juice, man. Tuff Juice, I always respect the world from all his peers. And we talked about it a million times, man. You're as good as your peers think you are. You've always had your respect level from people. I'm telling you, from your peers, is like out of this world. Like you are the man. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Likewise. Thanks for making time, man. Stay safe out there.
You know it. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right.